Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are going back to the Xbox 360. Xbox is shutting down the digital storefronts for the 360. You may be making some panic purchases. I'm here not only to walk you through some recommendations of mine, but also discuss buying an Xbox 360 in 2024. Is it worth it? And kudos to Xbox. They made this video ridiculously tough with not only their backwards compatibility system, but their wonderful FPS boost program, which made some 360 games way better on newer hardware than they are on the old hardware. So this was a tough one to put together in the terms of a library recommendation, but there's still plenty stuck on the Xbox 360 that may interest you enough to pick one up. But for starters, I'm not going to assume in 2024 that many people are like me and held on to their Xbox 360s. Which one should you get and what is available nowadays? Well, there's a range of models. If you paid attention during the Xbox 360 days, you know it was a pretty grotesque amount, in fact. You had the Pro models, the Elite models, you had the S models, the E models. See, it wasn't just the Xbox One and Series generations that had funny naming conventions. It goes back to the 360 days. But which one would I recommend? Well, it depends, of course, on your budget. I'm not going to shame you if you go out there and say get an Xbox Pro. There's a good reason to get something like that with the interchangeable hard drives, and you can find one going for about $100 depending on the bundle, and sometimes get some games included with that to start off your collection. There's also the Xbox 360 Elite. According to my research, it's around the same area, so I would honestly say if you're going to go between one of these two, go with the Elite. Then there's also the Xbox 360S. That's the model that's behind me. This model is the one I prefer the most. I'll get into that in a moment. And there's also the Xbox 360E, which was released in the end of 2014. This is a 500 gigabyte model. But the one I would personally recommend is the Xbox 360S. Not only do I find it falling in the right price range for the proper investment of around $150, give or take, sometimes below, sometimes above. And of course, if you want to get like the box with everything, it's going to be more money. And if you want to get a special collector's one like I have here with the Star Wars version, that's also going to run up the price a little bit more. But getting the console individually, even with a limited one like this, is actually cheaper than I expected. However, buyer beware. It is 2024. Right now, the digital storefront is winding down. When this typically happens, prices go up everywhere. And I've noticed over time, 360 prices are the next to jump. It's a good time to invest. So keep this in mind. Not to push you into an impulse buy, but just know that the clock's ticking. Prices are going to go up. The reason I recommend the Xbox 360 Slim is not only because of its price range, but also there's no need to buy a wireless adapter. Same applies to the E model if that intrigues you. There's 320 gigabytes of space, which I think is plenty for games back then. And also there is one extra USB port on the back compared to the E model if that matters. Now in the world of accessories, the 360 had tons of those. The reason you want to get a newer model like this if you can is if you want to play online, download updates, that sort of thing. The Xbox 360 didn't come built in with a wireless adapter. You may forget that nowadays with modern gaming. But indeed, Xbox thrived in an online gaming environment when you had to purchase the wireless adapter. So if you want to avoid that accessory purchase, pick this bad boy up. On top of that, there are other accessories you may kind of be interested in that you want to be aware of. A rechargeable battery pack or just a flat out wired controller, whatever you work with best, is definitely highly recommended. Otherwise, you're going to chew through a ton of batteries over time. A cooling kit, especially with newer systems, is no longer needed. I used to be a freak with my 360 because I was terrified with the red ring of death, so I had the cooling kit. I had a fan set up on the side of my 360. It was a whole operation. Getting a newer model obviously removes any concerns with a red ring appearing. There is the Kinect, if you dare to go that extra mile. For me, no thank you. It did come packaged in with this. It's still in this box. It's cool as a collector, but otherwise, I'm not interested, but keep that in mind. That's a good accessory available for you that unlocks a bunch of other games for you to access. And last but not least, faceplates. If you are interested in swapping out faceplates for any of your 360s, know that the older units are compatible with that, but the newer ones are not. Okay, I've talked to you enough about the accessories, the consoles. You kind of make your purchasing decision from there after you do some research. Let's talk about what games are available for the Xbox 360 nowadays. 99 Nights is a fun recommendation. You'll see a lot of only on Xbox 360 stamps for these games, but don't let that be your determination on if things are exclusive to this system. I'll break down why with some later games. But this, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, is a massive action RPG, very Muso inspired. If you like the Warriors games, you might find this one interesting. And if you do enjoy it, there is a sequel called 99 Nights 2. It reviewed kind of average. I haven't played too much of it, but what I did play was pretty charming and enjoyable and certainly entertaining. And it's also pretty cheap comparatively speaking to other Xbox 360 RPG exclusives that you can pick up. Because it was the leading console in the market, you're gonna find a lot of JRPGs here, and that's the funny part, is because nowadays Xbox fans really want more JRPGs exclusive to the platform. But 99 Nights is my first recommendation. You also have some Naruto games if you like anime games like me. You have Rise of a Ninja and Broken Bond. This came during an interesting time for anime games. You had Clash of Ninja active on Nintendo platforms. You had Ultimate Ninja Storm active on PlayStation platforms. And then Xbox was getting RPGs in the Naruto world from Ubisoft of all developers. Now, Rise of a Ninja isn't too expensive nowadays, even complete in box, but Broken Bond does go for a decent price tag. So keep that in mind when shopping. And again, you have to remember all of this is subject to change. As I record this, prices are in an okay area, but they're bound to spike at any point in time. Take it from me as someone who visits a ton of retro shops, gets around, talks to a lot of collectors. The general feel in the community is that the 360 games are gonna go up. So keep in mind that these prices may not hold fully from what I'm talking about in this point in time, but I absolutely adore these Naruto games and wholeheartedly recommend them. Rise of a Ninja in particular really has some fun with the jutsu hand symbols and how you can use those to get around the Hidden Leaf Village. Broken Bond opens things up a ton and is like a full-blown RPG with immersive qualities that really bring you into the Naruto world. If you do enjoy Naruto a lot and you haven't played these games, I think you'll be blown away by them. The fighting isn't as slick as, say, something you'd find in Ultimate Ninja Storm or even Clash of Ninja, but I think the RPG qualities really make it appealing to me personally. So those are some more anime games that you could pick up here. Speaking of which, we got more JRPG recommendations. This is the most expensive game I could suggest to you, Operation Darkness. I picked this one up in 2020 for $70. It's now over $200. This is a Atlas Fire Emblem style game, and the reason I say Fire Emblem style is because permadeath is a major factor here. Also, it's tactics-based combat. It's set in World War II, and you're fighting zombies and vampires. It's a really weird mishmash, and it's also got a pretty poor rating. This is one I would love to see get some sort of back compat support on newer systems or get a re-release with new quality of life enhancements. I think nowadays it would be appreciated more, but no doubt with things like frame drops, screen tearing, and some pretty brutal balancing in the combat section of things, this is a tough sell for many, not even including the price tag. So Operation Darkness, this is one of my jewels, if you will. I didn't know when I was buying it would become that, but yes, you can even see here 4-player co-op, which is pretty cool. But yeah, complete in box, you're gonna be paying a lot for Operation Darkness. Continuing on here, this is what I meant by games that don't have the only on Xbox 360 stamp, but that doesn't mean that they're not exclusive. So make sure to do your research. We have a few in this pile I'll point out. This next one is The Outfit. This is a game from THQ and Relic, and you'll see on the back of the box, it's focusing on environmental destruction, as well as third-person shooting and tactics. That's what's really cool about this game. There's a strategy element, but it's also a third-person shooter. It's a very unique game, but it only came out on the Xbox 360. This one also arrived very cheap. When I picked it up, it was about 15 bucks. Many 360 games, I think, are in an affordable area now, and I encourage people not to do what I've done in the past, which is like, I'll get to it, and then you end up not getting to it at all, and you want to get into it when the prices go up because you have the fear of missing out kicking in. Now, with The Outfit, this is one I've also played very little of, but it was such a cool pickup for such a good price, I couldn't help myself. It reviewed pretty well, and again, I love hybrid games, so mixing in a little bit of third-person combat as well as strategy really lights my fire. Next up, we have Kingdom Under Fire: Circle of Doom. Kingdom Under Fire was also on the original Xbox as an exclusive. This is the follow-up to that. This is another action RPG. So as you can tell, 360 home to a lot of great RPGs if you're interested in that sort of content. This one in particular, I think is more up the alley if you like something, I would say, like a more evolved version of Untold Legends or Champions of Norath or Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. It kind of has that energy. You can pick between 6 different heroes with all different fighting styles. There's a lot of different worlds and maps you can explore. So yeah, if you're interested in action RPGs, Kingdom Under Fire Circle of Doom is a great pickup for you, exclusive to the Xbox 360. And some of these games, not all of them, never even made their way to PC. So of course, do that extra legwork and check out what's available where if you're interested, but definitely a safe purchase on 360. Square Enix was also supporting the Xbox 360, something that has only started recently with the Series X in a meaningful way. We have Project Sil Feed, Arc of Deception, available only on the 360. This is a spaceship JRPG. I mean, it's really different. And as you can see on the price tag here on the top right, I picked this up at a con. Typically cons charge more money, I've noticed, for games because everyone's searching and looking for things. So they uptick a little bit. And this I thought was a really great price for a exclusive JRPG on the 360. Like if you're just shopping for price alone, like what can I get a good deal on? I just can't say enough about how many times I've seen JRPGs that are niche go up in price. Anytime you see something that you haven't heard of that's from Japan, you should probably pick it up if it's cheap because you won't regret it. It'll likely go up in value. But Project Sil Feed is about testing the limits of friendship as well as having this all happen during interplanetary war. So it's completely out there, completely different, with allowing you to customize your own ship, fly around in a 3D space. It's, again, very different for a JRPG style game, but I love the creativity. You don't see games like this nowadays that often. So Project Sil Feed's another great pickup. Here's another one here that doesn't have the only on 360 stamp, but you can only find it on the 360 consoles and PC in this case, and that's Battle for Middle-earth 2. This game is, in all transparency, way better played on the PC. Frame rate on the 360 is pretty god-awful. I learned that when doing our Lord of the Rings retrospective. Didn't look that great over there, didn't play that great over there, but it's an RTS on console, which signified a major breakthrough. So if you want to be part of history, you can go ahead and check this one out. But I just love collecting the Lord of the Rings games, so I'm happy to have this one in the collection. But admittedly, when I fire up my 360, like, this isn't the first one I'm grabbing off the shelf. So that's why it's a little bit on the lower rec for me personally, but if you like RTS games, you don't have a PC and you're getting a 360, this is an easy pickup in my opinion. Also pretty cheap, around the $20 area when I got it. We also have multiplayer only games. This was $3, Shadowrun. It's just something that's kind of interesting to look at in the terms of history and to be aware of. It's requiring an Xbox Live Gold membership. So this is probably something you do want to avoid if you're just hunting down lists of exclusives like, oh, Shadowrun, exclusive on the 360. It's on PC as well, but I can only get it on Xbox 360 consoles. You might want to avoid that, especially because retro shops will still sell it to you. So keep that stuff in mind because they may have got a certain someone on camera with that. I was like, oh, cool. 360 exclusive. Didn't read the fine print. Last little exclusive before we get into some back compat suggestions is The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings Enhanced Edition. Now, technically, this one is not fully complete in box if you're hunting it down. I do have Game Disc 1 and 2 along with the manual and all the fun stuff it comes with. This is also supposed to arrive with a soundtrack disc. So if you want all of that, keep an eye out for that. But yeah, The Witcher 2 is not available on PS3. This was a surprise to me. I got this for $15, so pretty good price tag there. You can get it on PC. I played it there for the first time, but I was happy to add this physically to my collection on the 360, especially because I love The Witcher 2. Criminally overlooked game. I know Witcher 3 is like everyone's favorite, but I love The Witcher 2 so much. To me, this is a very easy pickup. Even if you have played The Witcher 3, Witcher 2 is really worthwhile. So those are some suggestions in the more exclusive category, things you can really only find on the Xbox 360. And then I want to get into back compat as well as some back-end suggestions that are unique to the 360, but not necessarily exclusive. You'll see what I mean. Starting off with back compat suggestions that I think run best on 360, this is where it gets tricky because there are some that are only available on Xbox One and Series X, and then you can also do them on the 360, but it's just better on those newer consoles. But there's ones that are only back compat on the 360 that you should be on the lookout for, like Death Row, one of my favorite games of all time. Absolutely love Death Row. I got to make a dedicated retrospective to this game one day. A mixture of sports and fighting games in one, where you're throwing this disc through a portal, beating people up, flipping them off while you're doing it. It's extremely crude. They have a wonderful career mode. You unlock teams as you go through there. You can customize your teams, sign deals with different agencies. It's really fun. Death Row is an extremely cheap game. I saw it the other day for about 10 bucks. So this is an easy pickup for the original Xbox, but with increased load times on the 360, I would recommend you pick it up and play it over there, because you'll be loading into and out of matches pretty often in this game. Then we have NFL Fever 2002. I just get a lot of nostalgia looking at this game. You can get this for like a couple of bucks, really cheap. But if you're looking for some sports games, Microsoft had their own sports games studio where they did Inside Drive, they had NFL Fever, like they had it all. And NFL Fever, I just remember this was like the Hail Mary Central. I was just throwing bombs up constantly on the field, and absolutely it's a ton of fun. But you play it on the 360, it plays a little bit better there. So if you're looking for OG sports games, I wanted to shout this out. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea here on this channel. We've tried sports games in the past, but I do have a brother who loves collecting older sports games, and so I just suggest this out there for those who have nostalgia for the older sports titles. There's also games like Nightcaster, which you can play on Xbox 360. This is a really niche one that no doubt if we make a buying an Xbox in 2024 video, we'll be highlighting Nightcaster, no doubt about it. This is a really unique magic-focused game, and it's a ton of fun. I remember finding it on a demo disc and just being obsessed with it because I thought the cover art, as you can see here, looked really cool. But you'll see on the back of the box that there's tons of different enemy types. It was really a graphic showcase, and it's about collecting new spells and utilizing them. And if you're interested in Nightcaster, there's a sequel that I have yet to play, but looks very different from what I've personally experienced from Nightcaster in the past. And then last Xbox back compat suggestion here is TMNT Mutant Melee. This is again one of those games you can play on your original Xbox, but it also plays on your 360, and I think it's just best there. Now, if you were to ask me, Maddie, from the 2003 Ninja Turtles era, which game should I play? This would be the last on the list, frankly, but it is still a game from that era. I cherish everything about that era, from the voice acting to the animation to the storytelling to the video games. And so, yes, if you want to have this in your collection, best on Xbox, because then you can throw it in your 360. It runs a little bit better, loads a little bit quicker. Those are the main perks you get from all of these games, and that's why you'd want to play them on the 360, because it gets you through some pretty egregious load times. I think the best example of that being Death Row. Now I just have a couple more suggestions of games that I find unique to the 360 that you may want to check out, but they're not by any means exclusive anymore. So first up is Soul Calibur 4. This is one you want to keep an eye out for when shopping for this generation because of the unique guest characters. Now, I got this for 10 bucks. It's not going up in price from what I can see, but I look at Star Wars and I see value there, man. I love OG Star Wars, and this was just an underappreciated era, right? This is when they introduced Character Creator. Then you had the Star Wars characters on PS3. You would have Darth Vader. Like, it's so cool what Soul Calibur does. So I would recommend, if you're a 360 collector and you like fighting games, remember Soul Calibur in case you care about those guest characters. Then there's Overlord. Now, this one originally was in the exclusive stack, but when doing some last minute research, I learned, oh, it did get a PS3 version with Raising Hell. They released an expansion for it. And then in 2008, there was a PS3 version released, and the sequel came out everywhere. But Overlord did begin as one of those exclusives I was talking about earlier. No stamp on the top, as you can see here, but it was exclusive to the Xbox 360, and it's a criminally slept on game. So if you want the game that I guess called the 360 home, I just wanted an opportunity to shout out Overlord. It's a game where it's like an action RPG mixed with minion control, where you send them to do your bidding. Again, criminally underrated, criminally overlooked, so cool. Absolutely love it. There's games on the Vita like Army Corps of Hell that have that sort of Overlord energy, so it's cool to still see its influence to this day. And then my last game suggestion here, for those of you looking for digital suggestions, I think that Metal Jesus Rocks has a bunch of great videos over on his channel suggesting things you could pick off the marketplace last minute. For me, when I comb through it, I'm gonna be honest, many of those games I haven't experienced. So I didn't want to be not authentic here. I wanted to make sure I just covered the games I was knowledgeable about. But what I did find out through that video and one I wanted to forward your way is this triple pack here. You may remember that the Xbox Live Arcade introduced to us a slew of awesome titles, and this here is a collection of 3 games: Trials HD, Limbo, and Splosion Man. Limbo is still accessible on modern hardware, so you're really buying this for Trials HD, which I also think is available on modern hardware, and Splosion Man. I still think this is really cool to see how far the Xbox Live Arcade really got with this one, and so I appreciate immensely that a triple pack like this exists. So if you care about game preservation and you're thinking about digital marketplaces, things disappearing, that sort of thing, then maybe this triple pack is worth your attention. I spent 40 bucks on it and I was happy to add it to my collection. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Xbox 360 buying guide for 2024. As you can see, still a ton of exclusive out there, a little bit smaller amount of back compat suggestions because many I had picked out were available on Series X, were available on Series S, were available on the Xbox One. It's like, why would you play them here on the 360? So very few have been trapped there. And again, that's a tip of the cap to Xbox. And there's also some games that are just stuck on the original Xbox. I do hope one day Xbox can completely invalidate this video, open up the back compat program, let the floodgates open, and just let everything be playable everywhere. I know it's not that simple. I know there's much more technical lift behind it all, but I hope they find it worthwhile enough to chase that down one day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you'll be buying an Xbox 360 or Xbox 360 games in 2024. I'm looking forward to hearing not only if you're going to pick one up, but your suggestions of games down below. I naturally didn't cover everything here, but rather games I was most familiar with to give you the most accurate, authentic suggestions. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you what games I and many others should be picking up. I'll be keeping an eye on those comments, so be sure to put your suggestions down there. With that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.